Bruce's Big Call Universe. Disclaimer. Bruce's Big Call contains opinions and information provided by Bruce. These opinions are not vetted, nor are they shared by the owner of the Digital Soldier Press Channel. As with all RV and NESARA-related news, from any source other than the most reliable source for news and information regarding the RV and NESARA, which is Mark Z and Mr. Cottrell, take said information and put it on a shelf. Manage your expectations accordingly. Note that NO money will flow or redemptions or exchanges will occur until Mr. Cottrell enters the codes to unlock the abundance of gold assets held by the U.S. Treasury, regardless of what anyone else might say on any other platform or channel. We strictly follow the information provided by Mr. Cottrell as the only valid source of information on the RV and NESARA start. And now, Bruce's Big Call Universe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Big Call tonight. It's Tuesday, August 25th, and you're listening to the Big Call. Let's get into our intel portion of the call. I've got a few things I'd like to bring up, but I'm going to try to create my little timeline that I like, see if we can make that happen. All right, first of all, I'm just going to bring up something about Iraq. Now, we had heard that Iraq had lower denominations of the so-called new Iraqi dinar, meaning lower amounts of dinar. For example, they might have a 5 dinar note, a 10 dinar note, a 20 or a 25, a 50, we knew they had that, and maybe 100. Now, they had a 100 dinar coin. I had one somewhere, and the Lord knows where it is now. But these lower denominations were supposed to be in the ATM machines in Iraq, and we've heard that they were in there for months and maybe even over a year now. But the point is, as you guys know, the dinar that we have are what they call the 30 notes. That means that they are either, starting at the top, 25,000 dinar, 10,000, 5,000, 1,000. Those are the 30 notes. They've been in the process for years talking about removing the 3 zeros and taking the value of those notes down by those 3 zeros. In country, not ours, only in country for Iraq. So a 25K note would be worth 25 dinar. A 10K, 10 dinar. A 5K, 5 dinar, and a 1K, 1 dinar. Now that has been taking place, and I believe was completed by Sunday, 2 days ago. Sunday is the first business day in Iraq. We had heard they were going to have the new lower denominations available on Monday. They were really available Sunday. Sunday's the first business day. That means that they had a new value for the dinar. They were not allowed to use Kuwaiti dinar, Iranian rial, or USD in country. They could use none of those, but only use Iraqi dinar, which in my mind is lower denominations, and some of the 30 notes with the 3 zeros lopped off in value, like I just got through telling you. That took place Sunday in Iraq. That's their first business day, is Sunday. All right? That's the little piece about Iraq right now. Now, when we go back and talk about this letter, it's important to realize there are 2 different letters. There's a letter that was sent out about 6 to 8 months ago, something in that range. This letter was a 3-page letter, and it came from the legal side of our government. It came from that department. And that was sent out by military, by hand, to 6,129 hospital administrators in our country. Okay, so that was a 3-page letter, and I don't know exactly what that letter spelled out. I don't know that we got that specifically back 6 to 8 months ago, but that's a separate letter from the Department of Justice, DOJ, compared to the letter that went out to hospital administrators, 6,129 of them, on Friday, last Friday. And that letter was delivered by hand by our military directly to the hospital administrators. And they were there at 9 a.m. in the morning Friday to hand these letters to these hospital administrators when they came out, and the military was able to get them to receive it and sign for it in person. Now, that happened last Friday. Today's Tuesday night. So here's the overall context of what was in this 11-page letter. 11-page letter. It included an introduction page. It included information about training hospital staff, all hospital staff, for 72 hours of training on the new technology, which you and I know as holographic medical beds. This is the quantum technology that has been there and is going to be used in hospitals in the very near future. And it'll be used in medbed centers that are not hospitals. And that's what I am more familiar with. The experience that I have heard about has been in these specific medbed centers. Now, what else did the letter include? 11-page letter included 31 big pharma companies. And these companies were to no longer have valid contracts for their medications to be used in the hospital setting. This is a big deal. Now, this included companies you know like Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Bayer, just name one, right? There are so many. There are 31 of these companies that were named. And so what is the over and under on this? The fact that these hospitals have been told that the contracts with these companies would be suspended immediately. Suspended. No new contracts, and that they would be suspended from here on out because of the new technology that is now available or about to be available once hospital personnel and others are trained in those hospitals to use it. All right? That's different. That's a first. We haven't had that happen yet. Now, in addition to that, we have information that this is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to tell you what it said. We'll watch it happen. That 90 days from that initial date, which we're going to call last Friday, the 21st of August, 90 days later, by that time, all hospital bills would be zeroed out. In 3 months, 90 days, that takes us to November 21st, that all hospital bills would be zeroed out. That was in the letter. Now, we will see how that manifests. But that is a huge deal. And you say, well, what is that? What is that? What do you mean zeroed out? Meaning you'd have a zero balance? Yeah. And what it means is it takes a whole new look at health insurance and what the health insurance responsibility has been and so on. I mean, I can't even tell you all the ramifications of this. But I believe this is the first fruits of what we will see on NESARA, National Economic Strategic and Recovery Act for this country. I think this is something that has been delivered. Now, how did this leak out already? People found out about it Monday. It leaked out, and I don't want to say how it did, but it did. And it's an interesting, very interesting thing. It's hard to keep all of this technology down. And it's hard to keep it from seeing the light of day. And so we have the ability to use the med beds very soon, in a matter of days to a week or two after we exchange. So the indication here is we need to stay healthy. We need to do whatever we can do to stay above ground and do whatever we need to do for our health, so that when the med beds do present themselves to us, you have to go into your exchange first. If you're a ZIM holder, you have priority. If you have dire need, you have priority. So if you're a ZIM holder with dire need, you have priority, and you'll be able to get in to the med bed essentially earlier than anybody else. Now, the public is going to find out about this soon enough. I've heard 10 days from when we start using the med beds. They'll be aware of it, maybe sooner. I know that med beds were delivered and installed in every hospital in Japan, and I told you guys about that 2 weeks ago. And I believe they may be using them already in Japan. I don't know that, but I know they had 60-70% of their population that had radiation poisoning from Fukushima, and I'm pretty sure they want to get them in there right away. So I wouldn't be surprised if Japan is already in use. And of course, there are med beds all over the world. I told you guys there were 77,000 med bed centers internationally, and that was over a week ago. And I'm sure there are more and more that are being brought out online. And they absolutely work beautifully. So I'm looking forward to it. For me, I know a lot of people that want to get in there and get straightened out, but we have to essentially keep on going until we get there. And stay healthy, take some supplements, take some Boomer Boost and barley, and everything else that Bob has to offer to stay healthy and to be the healthiest we can be when we go into the med beds. All right, so that's the piece I wanted to bring you about these two letters. One was 6 or 8 months ago, was 3 pages, and delivered by the military, but it came from Department of Justice, DOJ. This letter, which was just delivered Friday at 9 a.m. by our military, hand to hand, to 6,129 hospital administrators in this country. That letter was 11 pages, and it included what I mentioned to you tonight. That is big news. That letter came from the Department of Defense. One was DOJ, this one was DOD. And it's great news for us. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think that we could all see how we wouldn't need big pharma, we wouldn't need cancer treatment anymore, we wouldn't need all of these things can be healed in the med bed. You guys know that. I've talked to you about it for well over a year, maybe 2 years now. And Sue's aware of it, and I'm aware of it, and Bob's aware of it. And many of you are aware of it now. Now, we'll get in there when it's our time. It's not that far away. What about the rest of our intel? We have heard from good sources that we should be getting notified this week Well, that's not that many more days, is it? Today's the 25th, and it's a Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. That's the end of the week. The end of the month is the 31st, and that would include Sunday, Monday. Now, we're hearing end of the week that we would get notified, and then we would start exchanges the next day. I can tell you this from a Redemption Center point of view. Redemption Center leaders, yes, I don't have it for today, but I have it for yesterday, saw 9 currencies on the screen at the Redemption Center only, not at the banks. And all these 9 currencies were solid. All the rates were solid, not flashing, solid. That's encouraging to me. Now, we know that we have 51 currencies that are supposed to be out. It might actually be 50. As I think about it, the Iranian rial will not be in this basket of currencies and will come out later after sanctions are off of Iran. If any of you have Iranian rial. Okay? Well, that's coming later. I can't tell you when, because we don't know when those sanctions will come off Iran. All right, so we've got a timing that is saying this week. We're also hearing some disclosure should come out Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. If we get disclosure this week, it's going to be on television, it's going to be on internet, and it's going to be on our phones. So it might be a little disruptive from what you're used to if this comes out. I don't know how many hours it'll come out in a day. I don't think it's going to be 24/7. I think it'd drive us nuts if it did. But I think we're going to get some disclosure. And you know what? Who knows what's coming out first? I think we should have some announcement about our new USN, our United States new dollar. That is a Treasury note. Hence, the United States Treasury note on the currency instead of Federal Reserve note. Okay? That should be happening. And I'm looking forward to seeing that new currency. We're supposed to be able to get a packet of it. So figure shrink-wrapped $2,500. Maybe in 500 increments. Maybe. I don't know. But I know that they would like us to take no more than $2,500 in the new United States Treasury notes, our cash money at the Redemption Center. That I know that they have that number in mind for us. And it's gone down from 5 to 3,000 to 2,500, and I think that's reasonable. It doesn't matter. We don't want to be a target for anybody, for burglary, robbery, that kind of thing. So let's see how that shakes out. Now, I went through a whole deal on this, on the exchange process recently, and I think you guys got that. And I think that was probably last Thursday, if I remember right. So we have a situation where we are in the midst of it. This money is moving at a great rate of speed in place for us. And here's another little thing that I heard yesterday, I guess it was, that Bank of America, Chase, and Citibank are going to open on Sundays. Now, why in the world would they do that? They want to try to get to know their customers better in more of a casual setting, maybe. Have you guys seen the commercials that Chase has done with the guy that talks to his coffee maker, and he talks to this other AI piece or whatever, and is having trouble communicating? And then Chase comes in and says, we want you to be able to interact with a human. Oh, you mean a real person? Yeah? Yeah. And so they've got this commercial where the guy comes into this Chase, sort of a coffee center type thing, and the woman at the bank goes, something I've never heard, welcome in. I always thought it was welcome or come in. She says, welcome in. I thought, all right, I'll let that go. So he comes in, and he's like nervous. He's like going, hi. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but he's kind of like, hi. It's like he's not quite sure what it's like to talk to a human. It's a little bit weird, but she's obviously making him feel comfortable at home and makes, probably getting him a cup of coffee or whatever. So that is what Chase is doing, because I've seen that commercial at least 10 or 12 times. I'm not even watching TV. I mean, hardly at all. I'm watching YouTube most of the time, with no commercials on YouTube, by the way. So what this means is this world that Sue talks about is really about to change. Just that letter that was sent out to the hospital administrators by hand last Friday morning at 9 a.m., that's big. That is big news. Getting us away from big pharma, no longer honoring contracts and suspending contracts with these companies at the hospitals. Wow, that's a major statement. So, and the fact that the military, this came from Department of Defense, and the military delivered it to them, that's about as strong as it gets. Or as they say in the South, that's stronger than train smoke. It is. So I think that this world we're about to step into, this era that we're about to open up, is going to be amazing. It's going to be different. We're going to see some change. And I hope you're all ready to adapt to change and see things from a new perspective. And I think that that's what we're going to end up experiencing. And so much more that it's hard to say. Sue is the one who's the futurist. I'm a little bit of a futurist, but not as much as Sue. So she knows what's coming in a lot of ways. And I think we're all going to be learning a lot of new things. And I would encourage you, curious about, I would say be careful with AI. Be careful with it. It's not everything it's been cracked up to be. There are problems with it, and I think we need to be aware of that. And I'm going to encourage everybody to have interpersonal relationships with human beings, with people. People talking to people, having community, working together collaboratively in your projects, in your community gardens, everything. It's going to be really, really cool. And, I can't tell you guys whether the midterms are going to happen or not. I've heard there might be a pause. I've heard a lot of things, but it's hard to say what the truth is and what's really going to happen. But I'm going to encourage everybody that's in Big Call Universe, if we do have the elections, vote, because this could be extremely important if we have that election. Extremely important. And I'm voting for candidates that are against Sharia law in this country. Everybody should be aware of that. That's an issue in a lot of states, in Texas, even Oklahoma. Other states are having candidates that are not in favor of it and some that are kind of wishy-washy about it. Make sure that you understand what the deal is on that and that you can stand up and vote. And if you're a lazy Christian that's been sitting around going, well, President Trump, he uses a dirty word. I don't want him. Get a clue. Get a clue and realize he is God's man for this hour. He is our Cyrus. And I'm with him. I'm standing behind him. Doesn't mean I love everything he says. Doesn't mean I love everything he does. But he's the man for this hour. And his cabinet is right on the money. They're very strong. Many of them are believers. And you can hear it when they pray. And by the way, just so you know, Dr. Ben Carson is the one who President Trump appointed over the med beds. He's the guy. And so we're in very good hands with Dr. Ben Carson. And I think you guys, listen, I'm not watching the news. I really am not. I was, occasionally I'll tune into Newsmax or One America News and get a little summary, but I'm doing other things, and I'm happy about that. And I'm excited about taking Big Call Universe into these projects like Rebuild America, Rebuild International, Veterans Retreat Network, and Pastoral Retreat Network. And I hope you guys will hang with me and be with me in that. I've got some really cool ideas on rebuilding Lahaina. Got some really good stuff that I'm planning that I've kind of thrown out there to a few people, and I'm really looking forward to working with those people and getting them squared away, and also obviously starting with Western North Carolina. I know what's been going on there. I know they still need help. They've been forgotten in the news. That's okay. We still know about them. We've got contacts. We're going to go ahead and get our group of 10, 12, or 13 people that we've already contacted and try to meet and go to those areas and get in the middle of what's going on over there. There are a lot of things, guys, that we can do, and we're looking forward to it. Really am. Everybody needs to get themselves squared away, make sure they're totally debt-free, make sure that they make their plans that they need for maybe a new home or rebuilding their home. Maybe you need a new ride. Maybe you need a week or two vacation. That's all cool. Do all of that. I'll be in touch with you by email. If we have your email on bigcalluniverse.com, if we have it, we're golden. We have it. We're going to send out an email when we get these 800 numbers to everybody that wanted it, that registered on our website, no charge, just register, and then we'll be in touch with you with our project plans. We got to build out some URLs for it. Bob and I have had those URLs for years. We got to build those out and get those designed like we need them to be. And then we'll be off and running. But we're all going to take a little time, to get started at first. But we'll get together, and don't forget the big call, and don't forget Sue, don't forget Bruce, and don't forget Bob, because we've got some cool plans to get together regionally across the country. Maybe Canada, especially for skiing. Oh, Canada. Yep. Alberta. Yep. Banff. Lake Louise. And all Sunshine. Yep. Yeah, man. Great resorts. Great resorts. And there's a great Greek restaurant on the main street in Banff. I want to go back and hit that again. So, I'll let you guys know when I'm coming to Banff if you want to rendezvous. Do a little skilaufen, a little snow skiing. Boarding. If you're a boarder, that's okay. If you're a boarder, that's cool. I'm a skier, not a boarder. But let's do this, guys. We're close. We're being told this is the week. Not just this is the week. It will happen this week. And we're very close to that happening right now. So I don't know what's going to happen between now and Thursday, but we'll be back here on the big call. So we could have numbers. We might not by then, but we could have. We could be off and running.